Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for joining me today. Today I am doing my last project for the Hedgehog Hollow using the February subscription box. The March box is going to be shipped around the 1st of March, and it's a fabulous fairy box, so I encourage you to check that out. But this idea that I am doing on this card today can be used for any kind of pattern paper that has a decent size pattern and lines. And so I'm going to make a shaker out of the paw print. So on the back of every piece of pattern paper, there's a paw print. Some have hearts in the little paw, some have hearts in the palm, and then some are just the solid paw print. And what I did was I ran this through my Scan and Cut. If you don't have a Scan and Cut, this is still possible. It just would take an X-Acto knife or a craft knife and very carefully cutting the image out. So the Scan and Cut makes this a super easy process. And so what I did, I just ran it through my Scan and Cut, and it cut out the fingers and the paw. And this image will fit perfectly fine, and the whole entire image will fit on a horizontal orientation, but I really, for whatever reason, wanted it to be vertical. And so that means that I had to cut a little bit of the paws off of the paper. And so I just went ahead and I measured it out so that it was 4¼ by 5½. And then I cut another piece of pattern paper, 4¼ by 5½. And I'm using a square die from my stash so that I can make a little bit of a border around the edges. So what that will do, it will hide where my fingers are cut off and allow me to add the foam to the back. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach that frame, and I'm just using some double-sided adhesive, and I will go ahead and peel the backing off of that and adhere that over my paw print. And then I will add double-sided adhesive to the back of the panel as well. And this is where my piece of plastic shaker is going to adhere to. And so for my shaker piece, I am using a piece of stamp packaging. And it's really good idea to keep stamp packaging for lots of things, but shakers are one of the best things to use that leftover packaging for instead of throwing it away. And so I just went ahead and I cut a piece of the packaging, adhered it to that double-sided adhesive that I had put down on the back, and then I trimmed off a little bit of that so that you can't see that overhanging. And then I'm using these 1/8 inch foam strips from scrapbook.com. I use these a lot. I absolutely love them. They're the perfect size for so many things. And I love that I don't have to deal with some of the bigger foam. And what I did was I doubled these up. So I put one layer and then I added a second layer just to make sure that I could fit lots of shaker mix in there and that it would move around really well. And then I'm going to take the paw print that I originally cut out, which was this one, and I'm going to line that up and I will mark off so that I can cut this piece, and that's going to be my background for my shaker. So you'll be able to see that paw print on the other, or through the shaker as well. And then I'll just trim off any excess. And then the fun part is adding the shaker. I honestly don't know why I didn't add this to the actual window. I probably did it because I thought it would be easier to line up the paw print while it was flat rather than trying to push that up against the shaker and not be able to see it because it would have been upside down. So I have a bunch of little mixes that I don't hardly ever use because I haven't in the past really made that many shakers. They always tend to end up a mess for whatever reason. And so I've been using a lot more of it lately, or more than I normally do. So I'm trying to use a lot, and I actually thought that I put a ton of it down because I use these mixes and I put some sequins in there and some little beads and some Queen & Co. Little beads, and it looked like to me I had like a ton, but once I adhered my shaker window, it actually does not look like that much. So there's a lot of room left for more shaker pieces, but I had already adhered it. And then I am going to take my anti-static tool and just rub that around the inside of the window so that it takes the stickiness away from the sides of the foam. And that will prevent, hopefully, some of those pieces from sticking and not moving around in that window. And then I will move that shaker mix around to make sure that it's flat enough and it's not too thick for me to put my piece on the top. And then I did have to lean over and get my head in the camera, and didn't think you wanted to see that, so I just went ahead and cut that out. But I did lean over to make sure that I could get that as close as possible. And then there's the back, and yay, I did it. And so I can't tell you, I made a card before this and it just was a hot mess. And so I was so super happy that this one turned out the way it did. So I went ahead and I added one of the sentiment strips that says sending hugs. This isn't in the box. I believe it's in a previous release from Maker Forte or Hedgehog Hollow. And then I took one of the pieces of ephemera and I thought it needed a little bit more color. So I took a heart die from my stash and I just cut that from one of the pieces of ephemera, but that doesn't ruin that piece. It will just, I can take that same die and insert a solid heart and still use that piece. But I really love the striped heart on this. And that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it or find it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And unfortunately, this will be my last project for Hedgehog Hollow subscription box. Hopefully, I will be back at some point in the future. I have other commitments to fulfill right now, and so this ended my design team term. It was a super fun run with lots of awesome products. I encourage you to check out the blog where I do have a coordinating blog post for this video. But that is it. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.